Hello? Oh, I need to remove the delays. As soon as I start streaming, huh? So you got the little sub-gifter thing now, Noodle? Next to your Azure Rathalos badge. Very tasty, huh? I think makes the color palette very nice. It does. That's good. It is good. I think for the future I'll need to be wary of putting games with lots of reading in game slots 1 and 2, or game slot 1 specifically, sorry. Because sometimes at the start of the week the fucking out throat's not ready to rock and roll just yet. So, just something I'll need to be wary of for the future. That's no big deal. I got a can of drink, so my throat will not get ripped apart too much. I didn't fill my water though. That's fine. We'll be alright. We'll not be too strenuous on the voice tonight. This one is also extreme. It's just all visual novels are like this, really. So Eastern, I mean, yeah, but also like Danganronpa is pretty extreme, and the 999 that we attempted to play on Weeb Wednesdays is pretty. There's a lot of text. Like it's any visual novel Weeb games really. It's just have a lot of reading. Like I would have maybe put like Dark Souls on Mondays, but I moved it to the game slot 2, so Hicks wouldn't miss a day because of his D&D. So this is where this one naturally fell, really. We're in the middle of an adventure. Ah, yes. Garda was up to bat, hey? Finally got him into the court. We were putting Joan on trial, or like on the stand, and then he appeared. John, right? John and Joan. I feel like we're pretty close to the end of this one because we kind of know what happened. We just need some information out of them about what happened below their room, really. That's kind of where we're at. Yes, on the day you're referring to, the wife and I did have a bit of a skirmish. Can't recall the reason now. Knocked on a candlestick over and set fire to the carpet. Soon had it out, though, and that got the window open. Meanwhile, I was picking up whatever I could find to throw at him. Plenty of knives around our place. Can't say I noticed if one or two went missing, I'm afraid. If that bolly thing in the victim's back really was one of ours, you'll have the job proving it, I think. Hello, Ferrell. How's it going?
It sounds as though it was quite the battlefield in your household that evening.
Although an entirely one-sided assault, it seems.
The enemy caught us on the hop, sir. Had no choice but to dig in and take defensive measures. To be honest, if the enemy had kept shelling us for another minute, we'd have been toast. Of course, a veteran such as myself is only too aware that on every battlefield, you're just a gnat's whisker from death at any moment.
Are we still talking about a marital quarrel here?
Well, I must say, I'm dubious that this testimony will shed any light on the origins of this jackknife.
So, we're pretty certain this knife, like, fell out of their house, but we have no way of proving it just yet, which is the problem. That's what they're trying to disprove, because then it implicates them in the actual event. Not a murder. A serious injury, though.
In combat, one's focus narrows such that the surroundings are barely noticed.
These witnesses may not be able to offer anything more than they have testified already. This may be a dead end. Van Zieks may well be right. Well, whatever the chances, we only have this last cross-examination to uncover the truth, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, I'm afraid so.
Very well, counsel. Begin your cross-examination.
So there was nothing on that knife, like nothing that identified it was theirs. The Battle of Gardeb. So let me have a look at the knife, because I don't think there was anything actually on it. It's like really plain. There's nothing on the handle, and then when you flick out the blade. How are you doing today, Ferrell? Any Destiny going on? See, like, the blade is really bland. Yeah, a large but commonplace folding knife. It was found lodged in the victim's back, so... Can't recall the reason now. I doubt that, lad. The reason is what you told us yesterday, I believe. Yes, that's right. If I remember correctly, it all started because of a note that was tucked into the pages of a book belonging to Mr. Gardeb. A rather passionate note, in fact. You've no Xbox this week? Why not, Ty? What happened? But Mrs. Gardeb found the note discovering her husband's little secrets. And she gave him a mighty number of slaps across the face for it too. What a sordid state of affairs. Hell on earth. I say, when a chap says he can't recall such things, it's common decency not to drag it all up. And besides, half of it was wide of the mark anyway. A likely story. Pet sitting for my brother while they're on holiday. Oh, you're in your brother's place, are you? Well, Farrell, you're welcome to spend your evening here. We're lovely to have you. These waters run very deep. And what transpired next after these multiple blows to the face? 2 cats, a puppy, a hamster, and a rabbit? Fuck, that sounds right, hey? Meanwhile, I was picking up whatever I could find to throw at him. Plenty of knives around our place. Can't say I noticed if 1 or 2 went missing, I'm afraid. Get more information from that. Sorry, would you care to elaborate? Nothing to say, really. Rather partial to a spot of carving, you see. Pipes and whatnot. Fishing tackle. You know the sort of thing. It's a passion we both share. I like to carve little wooden trinkets too. And then there's my leather work. Sorry to say, we're always losing knives about the place. And we have dozens of the things. They sell them at the market sometimes. 20 for the price of 19. Needless to say, I snap them up. John prefers to use 2 knives at mealtimes too, instead of a knife and a fork. Like that, Ty? No, Joe, don't want people saying it's tough. Here we go again with the scaldings. Why are they being so evasive? I imagine it's because they don't want to believe it. They can't bear the thought that it might have been one of their knives that injured the victim. Which is entirely understandable, of course. But still. Go on with your testimony, witnesses. Sir! Did she just burn him? Yeah. That's what she's been doing the whole time we've known them, as she fucking pours the tea on him. Scalds him, really. That bally thing in the victim's back really was one of ours. You have a job proving it, I think. Why's that thing? So you have no intention of admitting it was your knife? Unless we can produce proof? Even though there is no other credible possibility if Mr. Natsume is innocent? You forget, my Nipponese friend, that it has yet to be established that the accused is not responsible for the attack. Has it been revealed why she stresses is made? Yes, it was earlier. So, they talk about how, in this, like, society, you're seen as, like, higher up in society if you have at least one person working in your house. So she, disguises herself as his maid, so they'll be seen as higher class, is what it is. Oh my god, yeah. And she's not happy about it. As if I could forget. If only there was some way to know who had handled the knife. But she plays along as well. Like, every time we called her out in the court when she was on the jury about being his wife, she kept saying, oh, no, I'm the maid. I'm not the wife. But I suppose wizardry like that is just a dream. Perhaps you're thinking of fingerprinting, Mr. Naruhodo. What? You mean it's not a dream? That sort of wizardry really exists? Whenever people touch anything, they leave behind a unique pattern from their skin. Or so they say. But I can't see anything. There are already countries in the world where these so-called fingerprints can be used as evidence. Lord Strongheart is currently discussing the matter at the Ministry of Justice. Yes, I believe we are rapidly approaching an era of scientific methods of investigation. But for now, we shall have to find an alternative method of proving our assertion. This knife found in the victim's back was originally in Mr. and Mrs. Gardeb's house. Ah, if only I could transplant this whole incident to several years in the future. Go to the main games. That's the extent of their testimony, is it? What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, I think we've heard all this before, to be honest. I can't say I'm particularly confident that we'll be able to prove anything new from this testimony. But in this cross-examination, it's absolutely essential. that we established how this knife came to be at the scene of the incident. Yes, I know. Come on, Susato, give me something. I'm sure both of them must be feeling very worried. Worried that it was, in fact, a knife belonging to one of them that caused the victim's injury. If we could find even a tiny shred of evidence to support that theory, it would cinch this trial for us. It would explain everything. Yes, it would. So for Soseki-san's sake, we must find that last crucial piece of evidence. Well, Joan had the line about, like, fucking knives about the place, like, so. Right, so this means it very well could be theirs. Even though the room was on fire. As far as I was concerned at the time. Maybe one of them will react to something the other one says. It's more important to extinguish my anger than the flames. When a woman wants to throw, she must throw. That is most certainly not true of a Susato takedown, Mr. Naruhodo. How did you know I was thinking that? So, please cast your mind back and try to remember. Was a knife among the items that you threw at your husband that day? In all honesty, I don't recall. But I feel I must point out that I'm no monster. Let me see. Some bread, a cabbage, garlic, a towel, and a sponge. A napkin. Fucking Christ time. Holy fuck, I'm scared to put on me. A napkin?
Excuse me.
Christ almighty, that scared the shit out of me, hey? Do you have something to add, sir? Okay, hell. Mr. Gardeb. Just as I was saying that they would react to something the other one said, it happened, so it caught me off guard. Hey, don't shoot. Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon. Did your wife's remark just now bring something to mind? Nothing of any significance, no. Just that the barrage of projectiles the old thing launched in my direction was somewhat more solid than she implies. Books, bricks, and the fire poker I seem to recall. Ouch. And the woman's aim is uncanny. She landed a direct hit with every volley. Good grief, woman, we're not at home now. This is a court of law. Oh, dearie me. Ever so sorry, dear. Lovely couple, huh? What's she even doing with a teapot in here? Honestly, John, I would never have thrown such things at you, obviously. Well, take a look at this, then. How do you suppose that happened? Oh, his pipes broke, and I just assumed that was a design. Like, I knew it was a thing wrapped around it, but I just assumed that was there anyway. Your pipe, sir. Had this thing in my hand as usual at the time of the onslaught. Knocked it clean out with one of her soft projectiles, she did. Yes. And when I went to pick the thing up, it was broken in two. I'd like to see a sponge do that sort of damage. I see, your pipe was broken. It would never have been sent flying unless it was hit by something pretty solid. Anyway, I've managed to bandage the thing up for now. Huh, you are one to exaggerate, aren't you, dear? I like him like spinning it. I wonder what we should make of this account. Could be important. What shows that there's heavy stuff thrown. The defense believe Mr. Gardner's remarks just now to be of great significance.
Objection.
This war veteran's words only tell us one thing. Betray a fiery wife, and pipes, as well as hearts, may be broken. Sentimental wisdom, perhaps, but hardly worthy of adding to the formal testimony. Indeed, common sense, one might say. Might one? In that case, would you at least permit us to examine the pipe, sir? Well, I don't see why not. Oh, dearie me. There you go again, trying to ingratiate yourself with a young lady. Fuck. Very well. The court will accept the gentleman's pipe as evidence. Aha. I hope I didn't speak out of turn, Mr. Naruhodo. I was just feeling rather disappointed for you that your request was turned down. Oh, no, it's fine. Thanks to Sato-san, we have some new evidence to work with. We should examine it carefully. Not a 16-year-old, I hope. But thank you for that rebuttal, Mr. Gardner. Now if we can return to the crux of the matter. What can you tell the court about the knife used to attack the victim? Right, let's have a look. There's gonna be something on this pipe that gives us like a decisive piece of evidence. Right, so there's a chip here. There we go, that could have been a knife. There's a small nick out of the bowl here. Look, it appears to have been made relatively recently. And see how there are little scrapes and dents all over it? It's clearly a well-loved pipe. Yes, you're right. It seems to me recently that being well-loved goes hand in hand with getting some battle scars. This particular nick is catching my eye though, because it's clearly new. Yeah, it's fucking knife wound or something. What the? What the? What the fuck? What's that? Oh, something just twinkled inside the chamber of the pipe there. Yes, I saw it. Something stuck in here. Is that a knife shard? Let's turn it over and give it a shake. What's this? It's a tiny fragment of metal. It looks like the tip of a blade or something. The tip of a blade? Surely it couldn't be. The fragment of metal has been entered into the court record. The small piece of metal looks like it might be the tip of a knife blade. It was stuck inside the bowl of Mr. Gardev's pipe. I don't think he used to smoke that time. Probably not. Don't breathe this. It looks to be in a sorry state with that bandage around it, doesn't it? But for some reason, it feels slightly ominous to me. Like it's trying to shout out a warning. Probably because it's the same blue as Mr. Gardev's dressing gown. I suppose it must have considerable sentimental value to Mr. Gardev, given that he's gone to the trouble of repairing it like this. Either that or he can't afford to replace it. Was the knife missing its end? I never noticed the knife was blunted. Oh, look here, Mr. Naruhodo. This is the tip. A small piece of the blade appears to be missing. Wait, part of it's missing? I could be wrong, but I've just got a feeling. Remember this? Ah, that's the tiny fragment of metal that we found inside Mr. Gardev's pipe. Yes, and just maybe. Oh my! It's a perfect fit! Somehow, I just knew it. Gammy boys, huh? See what to say. This is a tiny piece of metal we found in the chamber of Mr. Gardev's pipe. And what a stroke of luck that it's a perfect fit with the broken tip of the jackknife. It's extraordinary, isn't it? And it fills me with a sense of awe. It's surely proof that miracles really can happen. Yes, a more miraculous proof I couldn't ask for. Oh, you fucking dunzo now, hey? You have a job proving it, I think? Well, lad, hey.
Objection.
Look at this, hey? Mr. Gardev, could I ask you to take a good look at this, please?
You can ask, but I can't see a bully thing.
You can't?
You used to call me Dead-Eye Deb back in the regiment, of course. But that was some time ago now. Even when I'm trying to enjoy a large print book by the fire these days. I struggle to tell a B from a D and a P from a Q, to be honest. Oh, he does, dearie me. It's rather wearing being asked about every other letter, every other book, every other word. Fuck! I'm reading it. You mustn't D very dizzy. Alright, let's get calm down. What is that? A tiny scrap of metal?
Yes, almost certainly from the tip of a blade. And what may appear at first to be just a tiny scrap is in fact a crucial piece of evidence. Dum dum boom.
Interesting. And where did the defense come by this evidence?
It was lodged in the chamber of Mr. Gardev's pipe.
My pipe, you say? By Jove, I wonder how that got there. And what precisely does this fragment of metal signify, Counsel? Are you suggesting that it is in some way related to the matter of the stabbing on Briar Road?
I am.
What?
When put together with another piece of evidence, already in the court record, I believe this tiny fragment of metal will unravel the whole truth of this case, my lord. Fucking gotten dead rights. Look at the back of John's outfit as well. His fucking gown's burnt away at where his arse is.
You appear rather confident in that extraordinary statement, Counsel. Very well then, present the pertinent evidence to the court. What evidence, when paired with this fragment of metal, allegedly reveals the truth of this entire case?
That'll be the knife, wouldn't it? Okay, we present the entire evidence.
Take that!
Not the tip, just. This is the knife that was found in the victim's back. If you look closely, you will see that there is a small piece at the tip of the blade that is missing.
A common issue with the inferior blades sold at unsavory street markets. Criminals who use them regularly leave the tips lodged in their victims' backs.
The victim's bones, sorry.
And what of this particular knife?
No doubt its tip has suffered a similar fate, now languishing somewhere near the spine of the victim.
Objection.
I don't think so. No, that's not the case. The tip of this particular knife's blade is the very fragment of metal we discovered in the chamber of Mr. Gardev's pipe.
Ah! Ugh! Good grief, Lord Van Zix. I don't believe it. The knife from the crime scene and this fragment of metal are a perfect match. Good golly gosh.
Got him.
Order. Is this some sort of Eastern sorcery? This is no magic, my lord. This is a miracle. A miracle?
So Van Zieks has figured it out, has he?
Counsel, explain this extraordinary coincidence at once.
Yes, my lord. The crucial point we have to ask ourselves here is when did the fragment of metal find its way inside Mr. Gardev's pipe? Something that was clarified for us in the most recent witness testimony.
Had this thing in my hand as usual at the time of the onslaught. Knocked it clean out with one of her soft projectiles, she did. Yes. It would never have been sent flying unless it was hit by something pretty solid.
Oh, look at the shaking, huh?
Oh, dearie me.
During the argument between these two that occurred just as the victim was on the pavement below, Mrs. Gardev flung this knife at her husband. However, the knife missed Mr. Gardev, instead striking the pipe in his hand at the time,
Which caused the tip to break off, of course. Good lord.
Yes, and that is when the tiny tip of the blade found its way inside Mr. Gardev's pipe.
The chances of that are 1,000,000 to 1.
And yet there's no other credible explanation for how the tip of the blade ended up in your pipe. Then, after losing its tip, the knife ricocheted off the pipe and flew out of the open window. In short, this knife, which fell from the window of the Gardev's house, is the very same knife that struck the victim in the middle of the back on the street below.
Oh gosh, oh dear, oh... No!
Dead to rights, huh?
Objection!
Here comes Van Zieks. Fucking sipping tea, huh? Rapidly sips tea. What do you want, Van Zieks?
A full-bodied theory, I'll give you that.
Uh-oh.
A complex bouquet of seemingly trivial points, plausibly arranged to create an almost passable vintage. Allow me to toast my learned friend's characteristically Nipponese approach to bottling his argument.
Sorry?
But after all, it is just a theory. The bottle, I fear, is corked. Because you see, it's spoilt by an insurmountable inconsistency.
Insurmountable...
What? Lord Van Zieks, explain yourself. What is this inconsistency you claim to have identified? An inconsistency of the simplest nature, my lord. The victim was found with the knife planted in the middle of her back.
Yes, in her...
Ah! That's right, you silly little man. Now, Joan, old thing, what are you getting so excited about? Let us consider the basic facts of the case once more. The victim was walking along the pavement before being stabbed in the back and falling to the ground. If the knife had struck her, it had fallen from above. There's no possible way it could have planted itself into the victim's back.
I probably would have hit her shoulders or something, right? Well, unless she bent over. That's my idea.
Order! Quite right. You see, that's exactly right. If the knife had fallen on her from above, it would have struck her on the top of her head.
Well, he's lost for words, look. I knew it. I never liked his theory in the first place. I don't know, though, what really did happen.
It would appear the defense has made a rather spectacular blunder. If a theory has even one inconsistency, it cannot stand.
But the book... Yeah, my idea is that the book flew out, she bent down to pick up the book, and while she was bent over, the knife hit her in the back. That's my idea.
Your theory, my learned friend, is history.
We were so close. I could see the truth. I was so sure we were on the right track. But now the way has been blocked completely by just one simple inconsistency. Or in other words, we simply need to eliminate that one inconsistency, and the theory will stand. Mr. Sato. You mustn't worry, Mr. Naruhodo. You were just caught off guard, that's all, and your mind went blank. But if the path you were on is indeed correct, then a way will present itself. The key to this is in the court record, I'm sure. All the information you need is there.
It seems you have nothing to say, my Nipponese friend. Well, your silence speaks volumes. A tacit acceptance that your theory is fatally flawed. Uh-oh.
Objection!
This inconsistency doesn't mean I was on the wrong track. Come on, Rinosuke. It means that I need to sharpen my mind and dig deeper for the truth.
It's a test. Yes. If the knife fell on the victim from above, there's no way that it could have hit her in the middle of her back.
Under normal circumstances, that is.
What are you implying? Counsel! There is a piece of evidence in the court record that can explain this inconsistency. That can explain how the knife that fell from above could have pierced the victim's back. We already have the answer. Goodness.
Oh, goodness. Wrong voice.
Utter madness. Surely this must be the last time. Counsel, present the evidence of which you speak.
Yeah, hey, Charlie. This is the last inconsistency, the final piece in the puzzle. If I can successfully make sense of this, the truth will be laid bare at last. The evidence that explains how the falling knife became lodged in the victim's back is... the fourth book.
Take that!
This, the fourth book found at the scene. This is the final piece of evidence the defense will present.
The burnt book. Is that not Mr. Gardner's book?
Yes, and to understand the significance, we have to consider how it came to be at the scene in the first place. This photographic print clearly shows the book in question, and the victim holding it in her hand.
But as we all know now, it was the police constable that put the book between her fingers like that. Quite so, as part of his wholesale transplanting of the crime scene to the opposite side of the road.
That's true. However, as part of his testimony, Constable Beat made an extremely enlightening statement on that point. But what made you place that book in the victim's hand?
Oh, well, sir, that's because that's how I found it. When we first ran over to the scene, the victim was already holding the book. So, when I moved everything, I made sure it was still in her hand.
In other words, the victim had already picked up the book from of her own volition. And clearly, that must have been before she suffered the knife wound.
Well, I should say so. After being attacked with a knife, I don't imagine she'd have been doing much of anything.
So the question becomes, why did the victim have that book in her hand?
By jingo! I think I'm beginning to see what may have happened now. Oh, dearie me. We know that the book fell from the top floor of the Gardeb household onto the pavement below, at precisely the moment that the victim was walking past.
Yes, at exactly that moment. The young woman was walking along the street in the light fog, when all of a sudden, a book fell right in front of her.
The book I threw.
Yes, Mrs. Gardeb. And what do you think the woman did? What would you do if you were walking along and suddenly a book landed in front of you on the pavement?
Well, I really can't imagine it, but I suppose she might have reached down and picked the book up.
Yes, that is exactly what the woman in fact did. She picked up the book.
Oh heavens!
The woman's not dead. The woman's alive. She's not dead. And when the woman reached down to pick the fallen book up, what position would her back have been in? That's right, facing the sky, completely and utterly defenseless. Then, in the very next moment, while the woman was still bent over picking up the book, the next object fell from the room above, the jackknife, straight into the middle of her back. And at the same time, walking by chance directly behind Miss Green, was the defendant, Mr. Sosuke Natsume.
Well, I never!
It appeared to Mr. Natsume that the woman simply collapsed on the floor. In the dark and the fog, he didn't see the knife falling on her from above.
Huh.
Yeah, what a scar in a story. Exactly, yeah. I'm so confused with this intent. This is like towards the end of the case, yeah.
And from the other direction, the constable and his wife saw no one but the victim and her apparent attacker. So there never was a real culprit to run from the scene in the first place.
No. This was nothing more than a series of unlikely events that culminated in an unfortunate accident. There you go, Noodle, just exactly as you said. An unfortunate accident. And that is the real truth behind this case. Stop stealing my words. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Gardeb. The very first time you showed me that knife, I had my suspicions. I wondered if perhaps it might have been something like that.
There, old bean.
Poor Mrs. Gardeb. Of course, I never meant for anything of the sort to happen, but it was all my fault, wasn't it? I take full responsibility. I let my anger get the better of me. I threw that book, and I threw the knife as well. John, dear.
It's alright, I know.
I'm ever so sorry. Lock her up and throw away the key. She's a bit fucking nuts, but she didn't try to kill it. I mean, yes, it really was all her fault. Yeah, I mean, technically, yeah, it was. It was like everything was her. Like, yes, it was coincidentally that Mrs. Green was underneath the window, and it was coincidence that the knife hit her. But like, the fucking knife could have hit someone on the top of the head, and killed him. I'm terrible enough to commit a murder, but she's not great. Like, truly. I'm sorry. Get her locked away, hey? Oh, she's gone, hey? Ugh. This guy here. Oh. Or yeah, don't be throwing knives, eh? Well, Natsume's free at least. That's the main thing.
Lord Van Zix, what news of Mrs. Gardeb?
She's been taken to the infirmary. It would appear that today's events had left her in an especially flustered state. However, I believe she will recover in due course. There is no cause for concern.
Yes, unbeknownst to themselves, they caused what could easily have been a terrible tragedy. They shall have to prepare themselves for the consequences of their actions.
There is some good news, however, my lord. I have just had word from the hospital where the victim is being treated. Her condition is improving steadily, and the doctor believes she will regain consciousness soon. That's good. It's strange. We've been talking about the victim all this time, but we've never once met her. What if she sucks? How wonderful. The woman is out of danger, it seems. Yes, that is good news. We've got one more case in this game. What if this fucking victim goes on and kills someone?
So, Mr. Shosugi Natsume. Yes. On behalf of my fellow countrymen, I would like to take this opportunity to beg your pardon, sir. You came from your distant eastern homeland to study our great British culture, and have been repaid with immeasurable unkindness. Please accept our heartfelt apologies.
No, it is me who should be begging your pardon. Oh no, Mr. Natsume. That evening, when the young woman just collapsed on the pavement before my eyes, I jumped to the wrong conclusion again in my confusion.
What conclusion, sir?
I was sure that the woman was dead. Yes, Consul Beat said the same thing, didn't he? He thought she had been killed too. I suppose she must have looked completely lifeless.
It's been about a year. It's been about a year since I arrived in Great Britain now, but I still can't get used to life here. I can't relax. I'm sure there are evil spirits lurking in the fog, like they're haunting me. Poor Suzuki-san. His imagination really has got the better of him. Yes, poor man. So when it happened, I thought the young woman had been taken by the fog spirits. I should never have dropped my books like that and run away. I should have called for help, for a doctor, for the police. Instead, I've managed to create a rift in the relationship of trust between our two empires, and for that, I am truly sorry. Get some therapy, huh? One could indeed say that some sort of mischievous spirit has been at work here, I think. One that created a chain of unfortunate mishaps. We were befooled by the spirit and led to false conclusions. But thanks to Lord Van Zeeks and our young lawyer here from the east, that chain has now been broken, and the spirit exorcised. I heartily commend you both. Oh. Now then, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. Yes, my lord. In concluding this trial, I must ask one last time for your decision regarding the defendant's culpability. Are you ready to present your findings to the court? As the foreman of this jury, I can assure you we've reached a fair and just conclusion.
I do declare the truth can be extremely cruel at times. Well, I didn't suspect the woman next to me, that's for sure.
But sitting in for the old bean while she's out of action, you know. But I know what her decision would be. Does this mean I'll finally be able to get out of here and start work? Well, it's about time. I say, I'll have a corner of a story to tell the grandchildren when I get home, won't I? Very well, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. I hereby demand your final decisions. Mr. Foreman.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Not guilty.
Yo.
Very well. Mr. Shosuke Natsume, I hereby pronounce you not guilty.
Man's free. Woohoo! Indoor fireworks. Let's go.
And finally, Mr. Natsume. Oh, yes, Lord Sir. You're now a free man once more. It is my hope that you will continue to further your education in British culture. And may you never again be brought before me.
Oh, yes, sir. Of course. All my life.
I swear I'll never set foot in a courtroom again. I
transported 2 tears.
Thank you, counsels. Court is adjourned.
Done, huh? 20th of February, 3:17 p.m. He's been Jojo posing the entire adventure. The Old Bailey defendant's antechamber.
Oh, locum.
Wait, you mean me?
Of course. Is there another locum here?
Is there even one? Oh, he's back Jojo posing. Sorry, yeah. Compared to the original locum student, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire, your name has become rather short, hasn't it? What's wrong with using my actual name? Oh, at last! I'm free! I'm free!
Joyful, joyous, jubilant, jubilation! Heady, hearty, happiness! Hooray!
Oh, I am pleased. Mr. Natsume is delighted. Would it be so hard just to say that then?
Locum, you did it! You saved me from the brink!
Well, what happened to the poor woman was in no way your fault after all. I'm just glad everyone can see that now.
No, not that! Lovely, loyal, locum lawyer!
Yes? I mean, as I said before, I just never got used to life here in Great Britain. Every time I look over my shoulder, I see foreigners, I see towering brick buildings, and from the high up windows, I see them looking down on me, laughing. Look at that little hunchback. Oh dear. I'm sure it's all in your head, Mr. Natsume.
But today, you locum lawyer gave my gloom the boot.
You stood firm behind that baronial bench before all those babbling British. You battled to the bitter end, laying bare the baffling truth. And when I beheld the blinding fireworks among the beams of the Bailey's roof, I bellowed, "Behold the best barrister ever born!" Well, that's very flattering, and we're very pleased for you. This has given me a wonderful anecdote to recount to my old friends back in Japan. An anecdote? Is that supposed to become of all my hard work?
Ah, there you are, my dear fellows.
Ah, yes. I apologize for keeping you waiting. I rose late this morning. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, what a pleasure to see you. I see I'm not here not a moment too soon. A disaster's been averted, I'm glad to say. Oh. The trial shall begin presently, Mr. Naruhodo, and I wish you the very best of luck. It's just finished. What? No. Then my haste was in vain? Ah, it's you. Herlock Sholmes. Oh, have we met, sir? This is Mr. Natsume, the man you had arrested, Mr. Sholmes.
Ah, I see. I failed to recognize you at first. Our previous encounters have taken place in the gloom, either of your bleak lodgings or that prison cell. I simply couldn't place that curious face in the light. Charming. This is all your fault, Herlock Sholmes. You're the reason I had to go through this terrible ordeal. I'm going to give you a piece of my mind. My apologies, sir, but I assure you, I have placed you now. You're the fellow who abandoned that poor young lady and ran off, are you not? What? Had she been taken to hospital more urgently, I feel perhaps she would have regained consciousness by now. Oh! But it was unavoidable, I'm sure. We are but human after all. Anyone would have been shaken by such an experience. I do feel very badly about how I behaved. Well, never mind. Now then, what was it that you wanted to say to me, sir? Nothing. Ah, priceless. Oh, I am so sorry. I am sorry, really, but that was quite priceless. Per Soseki-san. Still, on the bright side, you've had an extremely entertaining experience without paying a penny. And, it would seem, you were not even found guilty. But there is no bright side. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Natsume? Even after this, I'm still cursed by the spirits and now by the Reaper. Ah, Lord Van Zieks. I haven't forgotten, you know, what facing that man in court means. Even if you're found not guilty, you're still doomed. It will all be right, Mr. Natsume. If the Reaper appears trying to make trouble, I will protect you. Hiya! Oh! With a perfectly executed Susato takedown. Much as I like being turned on my head, a bit of warning might be nice next time, Miss Susato. Please stop flipping me. It makes me sick. So, Mr. Natsume, what do you intend to do now? You mentioned something about recounting your experiences to your friends back in Japan. Yes, I intend to return to my homeland soon. Oh! It has already been a year since I arrived here in Great Britain. I visited universities, libraries, bookshops. I've been honoured with the tutelage of professors. I've learned so much about the wealth of literature here, and the city it has shaped. And I've come to realise that it is my calling to sail home and tell my fellow countrymen about it. That's very touching, Mr. Natsume. Or, in perhaps less veiled terms, you wish to withdraw halfway around the world to escape the terror of the Reaper's curse. That's not it at all! The more I learn of literature, the more this strange feeling claws at my insides. I feel compelled to return to my roots and attempt to pen a work of my own. Oh, I see. A work of literature by Soseki-san. Could be an interesting read. And what about Miss Susato and yourself, Mr. Naruhodo? Sorry, what about us? Will you return to Japan alongside your mustached compatriot? Why would we? A week has not yet passed since we arrived in London. And now, only now does it feel as if we have finally found our feet. And you are accommodated in a hotel at present, are you not? That's right, but we need to find lodging before it bankrupts us. I've calculated we can only afford another 10 nights before our entire budget is exhausted. Well then, you could take my lodgings. Oh, the windowless room? Ah, but what it lacks in windows, it more than makes up for with the floor, a ceiling, and walls. Great. And of course, I'd be happy to leave behind the accursed evil spirit. Oh my, an evil spirit? Oh yes. It tries to suffocate you while you sleep. It's an invaluable wake-up call. We'll think about it, if that's alright. Perhaps I can offer a more welcome alternative. Would you consider taking lodgings with me? Really? Well, a vacancy has conveniently presented itself. Though it is up in the attic, I might add. Are you sure it isn't just a storage loft? I spoke with the landlady this very morning on the matter of price, and Iris is cleaning the room as we speak. You must come at once. I presume you have no luggage to speak of. Oh, this is simply wonderful. What an honor to be invited to taking lodgings in the great detective's office's attic. I'm too overcome for words. So suggesting we look elsewhere is out then.
He's got sleep paralysis, huh?
Then it's settled. Iris will prepare a welcome dinner this evening. And you must come too, Mr. Natsume. I insist.
I don't know what to say. But thank you, yes.
Wonderful. Then I'll go and complete the paperwork for your formal release, Mr. Natsume. It shan't take long.
Somebody's happy.
Locum, I knew that you would let me down. I'm truly delighted to have met you here in London.
Likewise, Mr. Natsume. It's been a privilege meeting you too. It's a shame that we're going to have to say goodbye so soon.
Well, I come to realize that I belong in Japan. But Locum, we'll meet again one day.
Yes, I'm sure. And hopefully by then, I'll be a successful lawyer.
Hopefully by then, I'll be a successful author.
Well, my dear fellow, our carriage appears to have arrived.
Shall we go, Mr. Naruhodo?
When they start calling you Locum? Just after the trial, he used to call us like Locum, blah 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 blah, Naruhodo Esquire, and now it's just Locum. That's what Susato was saying. She said, compared to what he used to call you, it's a lot more convenient. Yes, Mr. Sholmes.
I've little doubt Mr. Natsume will be released in time for dinner this evening.
And so, with Soseki-san's innocence successfully established, we rode Mr. Sholmes to what was to become our new home, 221B Baker Street. Oh, here we go. 20th of February, 4:41 PM. The attic room. This is us now, guys, huh? So this is to be our new office, yes. Our office? I rather like the sound of that.
Me too. It's simply wonderful, isn't it?
New music, huh? Hope you can see this, Kazuma. It's only a small step, but I'd like to think we're getting a little closer to your dream now.
So, my dear fellows, do you like the place?
Whoa! Look, this man, say. Ah, Mr. Sholmes, yes, thank you so much.
It's a delightful room, Mr. Sholmes. I simply adore it. Good, I'm pleased to hear it. Iris and I are delighted to welcome you.
I hope everyone's hungry. It's nearly time for dinner. We'll eat as soon as Mr. Natsume arrives. We have a lot to celebrate.
Iris, you must let me help you.
What happened to him? He took off his gear.
Alright then, Susie, you can be in charge of the salad. Splendid.
Is Soseki going to die? Is the curse going to get him before he leaves?
So, Mr. Naruhodo, how does it feel to have your own office in the capital?
It's very exciting, actually. I can't help wondering what adventures await us. What adventures await us?
Those were precisely my sentiments when I first established my office at these premises. Until I discovered the dark truth about the city of London, that is.
Sorry?
London is a glorious place, full of wonder, opportunity, prosperity, and mirth. But the brightest of lights casts the darkest of shadows.
Man's talking Kingdom Hearts now, huh? Shadows? What do you mean?
Well, I believe you're well aware of the murkiness that lies behind London's facade already. So, once again, Mr. Naruhodo. Welcome to London.
Damn. Are we simping for Herlock again? Of course, at the time, I had no idea of the significance of those words Mr. Sholmes so casually spoke. But it wasn't long before my turn came to lift the facade and see the true depth of the murk that lay behind it. End. The fucking pause champion. Yes, we'll save our current progress. Alright. Oh, what's this? Wait. Oh, I saw the fucking title and I was like, what? The Adventure of the Unspeakable Story. The last episode of the first game. But it has the fucking Hounds of Baskerville. The Hound of the Baskervilles. But the actual one is called the Hounds of Baskerville, right? The actual Sherlock Holmes story. The Adventure of the Unspeakable Story. Let's go. We're going to get a little introductory cutscene.
It's coming! Sholmes's cry pierced through the thick wall of fog around us. Wisps of vapor flowed over the pistols I cocked it, and I waited breathlessly in the stillness.
Yep.
The silence lasted for what seemed an eternity, until, at last, it appeared. From the shadows of the cloud, an enormous beast sprang out upon us. A hound it was, but not such a hound as any mortal has ever seen. Its eyes glowed with a smoldering glare. The whole of its ox-sized body was outlined in white-hot flames.
Ox-sized body?
Its rumbling pant and hideous howl, so terrified was I that I began to tremble with fear. Look well, Wilson, Sholmes declared, gazing upon the mystical beast. For this is the diabolical hound of the Baskervilles.
Yikes! So what form is this going to take in the actual story? Pretty big, huh? Our first 2 months in London passed by in a flash. In that disconcerting courtroom experience we were first thrown into on the day we arrived in the country, and in Suzuki-san's terrible ordeal that had followed closely behind, we had emerged victorious. Time for sleep. Goodbye, Farrell. Have a lovely night. I'll see you later on. Good night, boss. Definitely watching the VOD tomorrow. Nice. See you later, boss. Have a good night. However, there then came an abrupt end to our opportunities to appear in court, which was hardly surprising, of course, since I was nothing more than an amateur, an unknown student of law from a faraway land. So life in our little office was very quiet. That is, until it was shattered one day by that fateful telegram. Oh dear. 15th of April, 9:30 AM. Naruhodo's Legal Counsel. Naruhodo's Legal Consultancy? Oh. Oh shit, the wee office setup. Oh, that's really nice. Hello, Soupy. That morning, I was woken by the unreserved knocking on the door by the telegram boy. But after he'd gone, Sato-san's behavior became very obviously strange. Sato-san? Yes! It is time to leave for, is it time to leave for court already? Let me see. What case is it today? I don't think I'm scheduled to defend anyone at the moment, am I? Oh, no, of course not. How silly of me. But I think Iris said she'd make us breakfast this morning. Shall we go down to Mr. Sholmes' suite? Yes. Iris makes the most delicious breakfast food. She does, doesn't she? And once our bellies are full, we can leave for court in fighting fit form. Let me see. What case is it today? Here we go again. You alright, Susato? So, what was it about? The telegram that was delivered this morning, I mean. Oh, a telegram? I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry, but you're not going to get away with that. Well, I didn't think I would. Actually, don't give it a moment's thought. It's nothing. Nothing interesting. Boring, in fact. It's just a boring old telegram. That's 3 times now that she tried and failed to convince me it was nothing. I promise that I'll tell you about it at some point. Alright, I understand. I suppose Suzuki-san will have arrived back in Japan by now, won't he? Yes, I should think so. He left immediately after that terrible ordeal. Which would mean he should have completed the voyage already. Or be just a few days away. A fortnight ago we had that very long telegram from him, remember? Complaining of seasickness. But by and large it seems the voyage has been going well. That's fucking so long. Oh god. Is something wrong, Naruhodo-san? I was just wondering, what might have become of Suzuki-san had he stayed in London, that's all. You mean, as regards Lord Van Zieks, the Reaper? Yes, I kind of wondering if seasickness would have paled into insignificance in that case. The Reaper. What does they say? That no one who stands in the dock can be saved from the Reaper, right? Oh yeah, fucking... the Irish guy burnt. Like the way that nightmarish trial ended on the very day we arrived in London. Even 2 months on, the cause of that dreadful fire is still a mystery. Yes, but at least Suzuki-san is safely out of the country now. Presumably, that means that the curse of the Reaper can only take effect within the confines of the city of London, perhaps? Even if that's the case, it's a little comfort. I have a terrible sense of foreboding. If the legend of the Reaper is to be believed, it would mean he wields the sword of justice himself. Come to think of it, I wonder what he's been up to these past few months. Surely not wielding that sword against more acquitted defendants. No, I don't think so. Apparently, Lord Van Zieks hasn't appeared in court once since our last encounter. Oh? Yes, since Soseki-san's trial, he's withdrawn from judicial service again, it seems. Really? Just like before, when he wasn't seen in court at all for several years. So, it's just been me who's had to face him in his recent spate of trials then. Ugh, just my luck. I wonder if luck doesn't come into it. Sorry, what was that? Oh, nothing. Never mind. He's like actively hunting us, maybe. Yeah. Let's go down and see the squad, huh? 15th of April. Sholmes is sweet. Morning, Runo. Morning, Susie. Good morning, Iris. Iris? What is it, Runo? What is that terrible noise? It sounds like a cat being strangled. Ah, yes. You noticed that, did you? Hurley isn't in the best form this morning, it seems. Oh. Hello. Hello, Mr. Sholmes. Good morning. Van Zieks might just think competing against anyone else court is plain boring or something. Yeah, that's what I think it is. Yeah, he's been challenged, you know. Good morning. Oh, a good morning to die, perhaps. It's fucking me every day I wake up for work. Huh? Has something happened, Mr. Sholmes? You look miserable and the way you were playing the violin before. My analytical mind is dead. Music is dead. The world is dead. Damn this blanched existence. That's all it is, my dear fellow. Nothing of consequence. I'm afraid I don't understand. Well, Iris, isn't it time we ate? Some dry toast and insipid coffee for me. If it's not too much trouble. Oh. Oh. Cat. Oh look, it's Wagahai. Good morning, boy. That must be some sort of tiny door for cats to use. Not by the slow down the text, yeah. But how did it get there? Well then, everyone, time for breakfast. Oh, wonderful. Let me help you, Iris. It would indeed be a fine day to die. I knew something looked different. Something's missing from Mr. Sholmes' desk. Didn't he have a big, like, kit there? Mr. Sholmes, I don't like to pry, but your desk looks rather empty today. He had like a big machine there, did he not? Like a big kit. Ah, well done, Mr. Sato. Your observational skills do you credit. Oh no, Mr. Sholmes. They pale in insignificance when compared to yours. You'd struggle not to notice, wouldn't you? You mean Hurley's great analytoscope? That's at Windibanks now. Sorry? Is that a Windy Bank? No, Windibanks. The pawnbrokery. Pawn? What? You mean you pawned that enormous machine of yours? It has some considerable value, you see. Quite undeservingly. But isn't it a very important machine for your work? I do wish you had consulted us if your situation had become so desperate. I should have gladly passed what little income I have to you. Dear madam, things are far from desperate. But the pawnbroker has your wonderful machine. How could it be anything but desperate? Making use of a pawnbroker is quite ordinary here in London, I assure you. It is. It doesn't sound ordinary at all. It would seem that neither of you fully understand how pawnbroking works. Oh, what's to understand exactly? What did you mean when you said we didn't fully understand how pawnbroking works? To the people of London, pawnbrokeries are akin to banks. Banks? On Mondays, merchants relinquish their finest jackets and trappings to their pawnbroker of choice. With the money they receive in return, they are able to trade happily throughout the week. And then on Saturdays, they go to recover their things using the money they've earned. I had no idea. This has been a fascinating lesson for us. But dodgy, huh? Everyone does it, you see, especially people in inner London. And should they have money to spare, they would purchase another fine jacket. Not to wear, obviously, but to pawn should the need arise. Oh, how ingenious. What if someone buys your thing before you get it back? Then you're fucked. So whenever we have something that's getting in the way, we leave it at Windybanks, you see. A pawnbroker can be thought of as an extremely secure vault. Who would have thought that even pawnbrokers are different here in Great Britain? I don't know, like, does he store them, or does he, like, hold on to them, or, I don't know, huh? I would assume they could sell them on. Of course, you have to watch Hurley with it. Sometimes he pawns things he really shouldn't. Don't you, Hurley? Man's fucking defeated, huh? What does it matter? The world is dead to me now. You seem to be very unhappy this morning, Mr. Sholmes. What's happened? Used to be the case that in my hands, this violin sung like the dawn chorus. Its melissonant tones would make flowers bloom. They would? Sounds like the good pawn is given an insurance. I don't know. Maybe, yeah. Like the whole reason of a pawn shop buying your stuff so they can sell it. That's what I would assume too, but sounds like some sort of insurance thing, yeah. But now the muses are unamused with me. The goddesses of music have thrown me over. Whatever do you mean, Mr. Sholmes? For hours I have bowed, for days even, to the I have endeavoured to no avail. That sound, my tone, oh, it's bowed, sorry, is lost. That brilliant, clear, unwavering tone, gone forever. No more recitals of unbridled emotion. Well, you haven't been practicing much lately, have you, Hurley? Don't worry, I'm sure we'll come back to you in time. Heed my words, Mr. Naruhodo. The goddesses of the arts are fickle. One day they bestow genius on a man. The next, they unmercifully withdraw it. Oh, dear. Ah, why is this happening to me? If they take the turn I have for the violin for me, what is left, for pity's sake? What is left? Deduction, perhaps? Isn't that what you're known for? Talk to Iris, maybe? Wagahai. Mr. Natsume's cat seems to have settled into his new home. Oh, right. I forgot it was Natsume had the cat. I was like, where the fuck did the cat come from? They took his cat for safekeeping. That's good. Oh, yes. And I've become very attached to little Waggy. It would appear his previous owner has completely forgotten to him. Cats are unfeeling creatures. Their mews as empty as the hearts of the muses. If Mr. Natsume had no intention of taking Waggy back to Japan, I wonder why he kept him in the first place. I expect he would have taken him if he could. But pets are strictly forbidden aboard steamships in our experience. Oh yeah, the last cat. And for good reason. Terrible things can happen if the rules of passage are not obeyed. Well, I don't mind, because Waggy is adorable. Yes, he really is. Oh yes, what about the door? I don't remember seeing that tiny little thing in the main door before. Where did that come from? Oh, you noticed? You're observant, Runo. Look, I use this. It's my latest invention. What is that? I call it the cat flapper-mat. Gosh, a machine for making doors just for cats? That's right, you can make a cat flap for a little furry friend like Waggy in seconds. And it can do it in any door at all, no matter what it's made of. It's very powerful, you see. Anything? Wouldn't it have been quicker to make the cat flap rather than making a machine to make the cat flap? Well, yes, maybe, but now I can make cat flaps anywhere I like. Oh, I think it's wonderful. You must make one for us in the door of our office upstairs, Iris. She really knows how to come up with unconventional inventions, this girl. Hee hee hee. It's really expensive. I never know. We've never had one. Meow. Oh, what was that? Wagga hi. Fucking. What was that? Oh no! Wagga hi's tangled up in your violin! I think he thinks it's a toy. No, what's he doing to it? Oh dear, Mr. Sholmes' precious violin. Why should I care? What? I shouldn't be surprised. If the cat is a more competent musician than I now. Definitely wasn't cheap. Mr. Sholmes really is in a poor spirits, isn't he? Well, anyway, I'll put it back where it lives, shall I, Hurley? Or do the cats reach if possible? Maybe we should assess the damage. Where's the violin? There it is. So this is the violin, is it? It's the Stradivarius, one of the finest violins in the world, made by the renowned Italian luthier Antonio Stradivari. Oh, I see. It doesn't really look like anything special to me. I happened upon it covered in dust, languishing in a pawn shop down a nondescript back alley. The broker had no idea of its value, so I was able to purchase it for a mere 55 shillings. How honourable of you. And until today, it has been my faithful companion in every great Paganini-inspired performance I have made. I ask you, is there reason to live in a world devoid of music? To tolerate this blanched existence? No! There is none. Mr. Sholmes? What, dear madam, what? My thoughts are preoccupied with fancies of release from this dull routine. Well, it's about the violin. It looks very different to normal, don't you think? Hmm? What do you mean, Mr. Sato? Oh, Susie's right. Yes. The tone of the wood is completely different. That's not all. I'm sure there was no crack here before. Wait, it's not even the right size, is it? What's this? I'm terribly sorry to have to tell you this, Mr. Sholmes, but that instrument isn't a violin at all. Then what? I believe it's an entirely different instrument called the viola. What? Oh, Mr. Sholmes, are you alright? You're right. You are quite right. This isn't my faithful Stradivarius. So what? Pray, is this piece of stringed flotsam? Not your faithful performing partner, then? Chonker of a bow, huh? I see what must have happened. You do, Iris? This is just a simple mix-up. It sounds like Iris might be able to tell us exactly what's happened if we ask her. Iris, what have you done, huh? If this is like Iris's theme, it's really, really fun. What did you mean by a mix-up, Iris? Well, you see, this viola, I mean, was at Windibank's until last week. At the pawnbrokers. Now Mr. Sholmes' beloved musical partner. There is a proverb from the East, with which you are no doubt familiar, my dear fellows. Always let a beloved child travel. So he brought it with him to the pawnbrokers and like accidentally left it, I guess. Yes, indeed. So you sent your beloved violin to the pawnbrokers in the hope that it would experience personal growth? Oh, what a wonderful idea. Last week I pawned my great analytoscope in order to release my precious instrument. But it would appear Mr. Windibank mistakenly furnished me with this tawdry fiddle instead. But my ears cannot be deceived by the hollow timbre of this piece of timber. No, but your every sense was deceived by the fact that it just had strings. Pshaw, a fine state of affairs this is. And why I always say, Mr. Naruhodo, never trust a pawnbroker. They will try to fiddle you every time. But earlier you told us you could think of a pawnbroker as an extremely secure vault. Come, Mr. Naruhodo. Dilly-dallying will get you nowhere. Sorry? Crunching your toast with that vacant expression, pressing your coffee so obtusely. Are you not a little embarrassed by your own conduct, considering the urgency with which you are faced? There's the music. We must visit Mr. Windibank's brokery at once. That's right, isn't it, Mr. Sholmes? Precisely, Mr. Sato. Without a moment's delay. But I haven't finished my bacon and eggs. My dear fellow, surely you do not still intend to crunch your bacon with an increasingly vacant aspect, to fresh your eggs over more obtusely? Alright, say no more. Let's go then. Don't worry, Runo. I'd be happy to heat it up for you again later. Oh, thank you, Iris. As it happens, I am rather curious to see what a British pawnbroker looks like. I know, just fire the bacon downtime. Alright, Herlock, let's go. Sholmes. You okay? Something added? Let's go to the pawnbroker. Let's meet our new characters, huh? 15th of April, Windibank's pawnbroker. Remember we met the two characters in the last one that only had one line each? I wonder if it's gonna be any of them. Pausers. So this is a British pawnbrokery. Oh my, there are all sorts of tools and contraptions in here that I've never laid eyes on before. Ah, so Sato-san, that spark of wonder in your eyes. You can't wait to scur the shells, can you? I get the impression you enjoy places like this. Oh yes, I don't know why, but seeing such a lot of things I don't understand is a real thrill for me. My dear fellows, let us not forget why we are here. Oh, Mr. Sholmes. We are calling on matters of business, not pleasure. And clearly Mr. Sholmes means business too, judging from the spark of fury in his eyes. Oh. And Mr. Sholmes, sir, welcome back. Did you hear that brazen welcome? Well, yes, we are potential customers after all. We are disgruntled customers, Mr. Naruhodo, and it's time to inform Mr. Windibank of our ire. Come, the fight is afoot. Naturally, you will recall this, which I retrieved from you some days ago. Yes? This second-rate fiddle is not my faithful instrument, Mr. Windibank. The color of the wood is different, it has holes in it. It's not even the same size. A wonderful summary of our observations, Mr. Sholmes. I'm so very sorry, sir. How utterly unforgivable of me, an inexcusable mistake for a pawnbroker. There's only one way to make amends. Oh, fucking hell! I shall have to take my own life! I don't think that will be necessary, do you? If I may just say one thing before I pop off. Ah, yes. It was you, sir, Mr. Sholmes, who took it upon himself to remove the item the other day, I believe. Sorry? As I recall, I entered the storeroom to fetch your violin when I heard, ah, here it is. You did? And when I returned to controvert you, you had taken the viola and left, sir. However, there can be no doubt that the blame lies firmly at my own door for allowing you to leave. So I shall not grumble or grouse any longer. May this guilt die with me. No, stop, my dear fellow. The fault is mine. You kind of three-head. Phew. It would appear that the fight is over, not the fright. Doodle-doo. I do humbly apologize, Mr. Windibank. Evidently, my questionable disposition precipitated this tragedy. Well,
You wouldn't be Mr. Herlock Sholmes without that questionable disposition now, would you? Haha, I do believe you may be right, sir. Ha 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 ha. It's either laugh or cry, I suppose. You are, must be said, one of my more challenging customers. I needn't remind you of the peculiar collection of items you brought through my door in the past. Oh? Peculiar items? In the extreme web, for example, the unpublished manuscript of an eponymous work, the novels of Herlock Sholmes or some such. Oh my, a new full-fledged novel? And unpublished? A story I've yet to read, you mean? Forgive me! Wait, before you die, you must tell me more. I must know more. Tell me everything. Wow, so Sada-san's really fired up now. Is there really an unpublished story under this very roof? Well, one day the gentleman here brought in an old metal chest, you see. I should like to entrust this to your care for a while, Mr. Windibank. For a chest like that, 1 shilling, sir, not a farthing more. It houses something of very great value indeed. The latest manuscript, recounting the adventures of one Mr. Herlock Sholmes. I beg your pardon, a manuscript? You wish to deposit a manuscript? Indeed I do, for I am confident it will be quite safe here. And that was that. As such, Mr. Sholmes' latest tale of otherworldly mystery lies dormant in my storeroom. Mr. Sholmes, is that really true? I sense that someone doesn't want to talk about this. I continue to pay your fee, do I not? Then kindly continue to store my belongings. Securely. Of course, sir. Of course. They are safe and sound with me, I assure you. On my life. This is all very strange. That's about the pawnbrokery. I wonder, could I ask you something? Ah, a gentleman from the east, I see. Yes, that sable suit. I suppose I could offer you 6 pence for it. Without wishing to offend, the tone is somewhat dull. Sorry? Ah, but for you, splendid hire, ma'am. 5 guineas, no less. The colours are exquisite. The design, exotic. Eastern artistry at its finest, may I say. Oh my, 5 guineas, you say? How interesting. Why do I feel as though I've suffered some sort of defeat here? Actually, I was hoping to ask you about your business. I've heard it said that pawnbrokeries are used rather like banks here in London. Yes, sir, indeed. Many of my customers utilize the establishment as you describe. I appraise their items and offer them a proportionate loan and 2 months of secure storage. If, in that time, they repay the original sum to me, plus the agreed interest, their items are happily returned. Oh, well, there we go. There's the explanation. So it's like an extra service he offers. What happens if they don't pay you the money? And then I keep it, I guess. Then the items are offered for sale in my shop. As you can see on the shelves behind me. So you never sell items before the 2 months has passed then? Fuck, that's like a slow business time. Makes sense, but it means it's slow. Means like whenever you get something cool in, minimum 2 months before you get to put it out. That's right, mum, that's right. Which means some considerable responsibility rests on my shoulders. Should the customer's precious belongings be lost, the only recompense is for me to end it all. The very idea, Mr. Windibank, is an absurdity. One should never talk of one's demise so casually, says the man who was telling us all it was a good day to die only this morning. And let's not forget that I have already helped you take measures to ensure such a tragedy never occurs. Oh, what sort of measures? I engineered a simple device which Mr. Windibank has installed here in his shop. I call it the Red-Handed Recorder. Is that not so, Mr. Windibank? Ah! What was that deep sigh about? What on earth is a red-handed recorder? Use your eyes, my dear fellow. There are 2 just below the ceiling. I can see what appears to be a camera attached to some sort of timing device. Oh, it's like a security camera. Okay. Very astute. It is indeed a camera, furnished with some 100 pieces of celluloid film. And every 30 minutes precisely, the camera automatically records the appearance of the shop. Here, I have an example I can show you. Doggy. Ah yes, a print from the camera set to record the activity of the shop counter. I developed a special type of film so sensitive it produces a crystal clear image even in darkness. Really, that's extraordinary.
Yes, you can clearly see the counter and the door behind it. Look. I heard some. There's a dog in the picture on the desk. So you see, were someone to enter the premises with ill intent, his identity would be summarily exposed. Yeah, you can see it. You can see it here too. Right there. You can see the picture. But did you not say that the photographic prints were taken at 30-minute intervals? Indeed, as you say, my dear madam. Then what if the incident were to occur in between times? One could only say that would be a cruel twist of fate. It's like a golden retriever or something, it looks like. I must confess your devices have been giving me some cause for distress of late. I beg your pardon, Mr. Winterbank. Surely they are anything but distressing. Reassuring is the word. It's the cost of the film, sir. You most graciously placed not one, but 2 cameras in my shop after all, which means I must pay for nigh on 100 oddly useless prints every single day. I'm afraid the cost of the film will break me before I'm very much older. Nevertheless, a small price to pay to ensure the safety of my preferred pawnbroker, you know. My dear fellows, we verge on an age where safety and security come at a price. Oh, heaven help us. It's true. Now then, Mr. Sholmes, allow me to return your precious violin. Ah, the very thing. Thank you, Mr. Winterbank. Perhaps this might mark the end of the peculiar items you try to pop them. Because if anything were to happen to one of them, this will be the only answer. I really think you have to stop waving that gun around. Someone could get hurt. Fear not. Sorry. I've only loaded a single bullet, so no one but myself could possibly be armed. That's not really what I meant. Good day to you then, Mr. Winterbank. It's been a pleasure as always, Mr. Sholmes. So, Mr. Naruhodo. Now we can explore at last. There seems to be a little door hidden behind that curtain there. That leads to the storage room, where Mr. Winterbank keeps articles that are currently in pawn. Ah, I see. There's nothing of particular interest inside. I certainly wouldn't recommend any loss in this activity. Recommended or not, it's not something I tend to do. There is but one key, and Mr. Winterbank keeps it in his pocket at all times. Very suicidal type, yeah. Not wrong. Before he sleeps, he places it into a small pot, which he slides under his pillow. Oh, and how did you know about that, Mr. Sholmes? I'm a detective, sir. It is my business to know what others do not. I am frequently assailed by information that I neither care for nor wish to retain. Mr. Sholmes, you're a wonder. And the prime suspect of this pawnbroker he's ever burgled. I was trying to examine the desk, but... There we go, here's the desk. Look at that enormous ledger open on the counter there. Mr. Winterbank is, if nothing else, very particular about recording the items he accepts. He'd have to be, otherwise he'd get himself into all sorts of trouble. Which might explain the thing that catches my eye far more than the ledger. This revolver here. Yep. Do not entertain even a single thought of pilfering an article herein, my dear fellow. I assure you, Mr. Winterbank would not hesitate to draw that weapon with a speed belying his portly size. Oh, you don't mean he'd... blow his brains out? Indeed. In recompense for his blunder. Jesus. Oh, okay. Oh my. But in any case, of course we would never do such a thing. How could you even suggest it? What an assortment of things there are on these shelves here. Crockery, footwear, clocks, and watches. Almost anything you care to imagine. I'll give you $5, say. Those are forfeited items offered for sale by the pawnbroker. What does that really mean, though? When you pawn, or colloquially pop, an item, the broker loans you money against its worth. He stores the item for an agreed period of time, after which the loan must be repaid. If not, he is free to display it in his shop for sale, at a price of his choosing. Oh yes, now you've explained it. I'm noticing little price tags and everything. Of course, simply by paying the agreed interest on the loan, one can extend the period of safekeeping. So you may pawn that black garb of yours without fear, my dear fellow. My treasured university uniform? Never! It embodies my student spirit. Hmm. The calendar. That's not a calendar you could easily miss, is it? 15th of April. Today's date. Yes. That's not for sale, I must point out. It is an Eastern-style page-a-day calendar. Every night at midnight, I tear off the front page to reveal the following day's date. The perfect calendar for a tearaway fellow such as yourself, Mr. Windibank. And who was it who walked out of here with the wrong violin before? Well, when the agreed storage period has passed without repayment, articles are forfeited, you see. So I have to keep a close eye on the date. It's something of a pawnbroker's obsession, you might say. Oh yes, I can see you're very dedicated to your job. What the fuck are these, eh? Ugh. Now what do you suppose this rather enormous machine does? It seems you have two little windows for looking through. Allow me to enlighten you, my dear fellows. What you are looking at is a stereoscope. A stereoscope? Fascinating. It is aptly named, as I assure you. Look through the eyepieces and see for yourself. Oh, I should be delighted to. Excuse me a moment while I just have a look. Just before you do, there is something I should point out. My dear fellows, in order to see the image properly, stereoscopically as it were, you need to be cross-eyed. However, if that is beyond you, it is of little consequence today. Huh? Alright then, I'm going to try it. Yuri scoops us out. Ah! Mr. Naruhodo, you must see. At once. I love this music. Oh, alright then. I need to be cross-eyed, like I'm trying to look at my own nose. What the? I don't believe it. It's just a photographic print, but it seemed like you could reach out and touch it. Yes, the sense of depth is startling, is it not? Stereoscopes are one of London's many fads. They are often found in little stalls in the park. People queue for hours to see them. Why? Why are people meddling with such black magic? Magic. It is no magic, my dear madam. It is, well, far too complicated to explain at present. We shall save this lesson for another day. Oh. Magic. Are these? Look at this. Whatever could it be used for? I have no idea. Ah. What the fuck is it? There's a small catch just here, look. We're going to open it, aren't we? Huh. Oh my, that's amazing. There's some sort of spring-loaded mechanism. Burn the witch. Which will never manage to get back to the way it was before. What are you two doing? What? Us? Nothing? No, nothing at all. Whatever this device is, it seems to have a pair of little windows to look through. I feel as though I've seen something rather similar to this elsewhere. Something on the door. 3 globes of gold. Is that some sort of charm? Oh, outside, sorry, yeah. Dear me, have you not seen that sign before? No, never. The 3 golden balls are, in Great Britain at least, the universal sign of a pawnbrokery. There are more than 700 such establishments in the capital, all showing the same sign. Oh, I see. Why didn't the pawnbroker in fucking Yakuza have that time? I had not imagined your ignorance was so profound. Oh. Well, what is the significance of the 3 golden balls then? Does it have some special meaning? That is entirely unimportant here, dear madam. Irrelevant, even. You mean you don't know? I think that's everything. Oh. Look at this. Look at this lovely, big, shiny box be. That, my dear madam, is a music box. Surely you have such things in your own country. Oh my, yes, but I've certainly never seen one so large before. Shall we listen a while? Oh. Bum bum. Oh, look at her face. Oh, what a sublime sound. It's like the music of angels. I've never heard anything like it before in my life. This particular specimen is of the larger variety, commonly found in public houses and restaurants. You love to make them. There's a metal disc inside on which the notes to be played are recorded. Simply by replacing the disc with another, any music you care to imagine can be played. My goodness, what a simply delightful machine. Indeed, though their popularity has waned recently with the development of the gramophone, of course. Science and technology advances at an overwhelming pace.
What? Only 2 pence for it? That ain't fair, you know it.
The article is barely worth a penny, miss. I cannot offer more. Oh, who's come on, hi? Customer, hi? Sounds like there's an argument brewing over by the counter.
Come on, that can't be right. Are you even... have you even had a proper butcher's at it?
I see only you two young girl. Nah, that's her. Wait, don't we know? I'm sure I recognize her. It's your fucking wee girl from the carriage case. Gina, right? Gina Lestrade, that's her name. Oh, yes, it's the young lady from Mr. McGilda's trial 2 months ago. Her name is Gina Lestrade, my lord. She's a chancer, earns her crust among large crowds, relieving people their purses. What's commonly called a pickpocket.
Gordon Bennett, you lot.
Hello, Mr. Lestrade. I hope you've been well.
Hey, what? You remember me then, do you?
Well, I remember being completely surrounded by smoke, that's for sure.
So what are you doing in here? Down and out like the rest of us? Nothing to eat? Came to pop that black weasel, sorry, coat, have you?
What was it about this black uniform that makes everyone comment on it?
Ah, good day. Unless I'm much mistaken, you would be the young pickpocket who stole our experimental smoke grenade launcher. Ah, Mr. Sholmes. So, you have something of value to pawn, do you? Allow me to see the article, and I shall negotiate with Mr. Winterbank on your behalf. Pull the other one. I don't need no help from some stuck-up D. Get out of my business. Go on. I'll make trouble for you.
As you wish, Miss Lestrade. I will happily remove myself from your presence. He's really done it. He's gone.
I'm sorry, but as I said, there really is no room for negotiation here.
What is that thing he has in his hand? Some kind of metal disc?
And you, go on, leave me alone.
Oh, Miss Lestrade, just pretend we aren't here. We shan't be offending in the slightest. Just thought it was like can really stand her ground when she wants to.
Whatever.
Hello, Gina. Somehow, I didn't really think you were the sort of person who'd use a pawnbroker, Miss Lestrade.
Yeah, well I am, alright? I'm a Londoner, just like everyone else. Not a problem, is it?
No, not at all. Just that, well...
Oh, I get it. I know what you're thinking. That thing probably don't even belong to her. Probably got it on the dive, didn't she?
Dive?
Yeah, I can see it written all over your Chevy Chase.
Well, I might have been thinking something along those lines. You're not going to deny it, Mr. Naruhodo? Alright then, I'm just going to come out and ask you straight. Yeah, she is a thief, yeah. Do you pawn things that you steal from other people?
Well, I don't know how I would answer that. Best answer that, really. Suppose. Sometimes.
You're not going to deny it either, Miss Lestrade?
But not this time, alright? I swear. That thing belongs to me.
The disc that Mr. Winterbank is holding? Perhaps we should see what he has to say about all this. Alright. The disc. Mr. Winterbank, what exactly is this metal disc that Mr. Lestrade has brought in? It seems to have hundreds of tiny little bumps on its surface. Is it like a... Is it meant for the music box, maybe? Ah, this is a music disc, you see. For use inside a music box. In a music box?
What? You don't even know what a music box is? You Eastern lot ain't too savvy, eh?
I know what a music box is. I've just never seen one of these discs before.
The small protrusions on the metal disc encode the tune to be played by the music box. You simply insert the disc and set the machine going, and beautiful music plays. It's so incredible. Tell us, what tune is on this disc? Well, I'm afraid I couldn't tell you that. There are so many different types of music box, you see. British made, German, Swiss. I have no way of knowing which particular machine this disc was made for. I've never seen one with a roll. I've seen the roll ones, the wee bling bling bling, them boys. I've seen them. Ah, I see. And that's it in a nutshell. I wouldn't have any customers for an item like this, even if the young lady forfeited it. Really, I'm already offering more than I should at a penny. That's a packet of lies. He told me he did. He said it was, well... The bling bling boys, yeah. It's like I'm getting lots of messages to make sure everything's okay. Oh good, never mind. He? Who? Never you mind. Just ain't right, that's all. The disc is worth good money. I know it is. Well then, you have to try your luck at another pawnbroker, won't you? Ah! Gina Lestrade. She's been in before, of course, this little tatterdemalion. I see. I brought some dubious article or other with her every single time, I might add. Dubious? What are you trying to say? I'm an honest customer, me. So, is there something dubious about the disc she brought in today? Well, if only it were that simple. Sorry, what do you mean? What she actually brought in was a storage ticket. Storage ticket? So, Mr. Lestrade has actually come to redeem an article from you today, is that right? Yeah, that's right. A girl like me has a lot of stuff that needs storing. Alright, yes. That's definitely dubious. The article in question would have been forfeited at midnight tonight. But as she gave me the ticket for it, and repaid both the loan and the interest, I was obliged to return the article to her. But what was the article? Do tell us, Mr. Windibank. The little scamp is wearing it, ma'am. It's the overcoat that she redeemed. Oh. What? What's wrong with that? It fits, doesn't it? I mean, it's mine, so of course it does. So, what about the disc then? How does that come into all this? Ah, the disc is something else. A new article to pawn, if the girl and I can agree a price. But he's paying garbage for it. I'm confused. I thought you said Mr. Lestrade brought in a storage ticket today. It's really quite simple. Yes, the child brought me a storage ticket, and the money she owed on it, as you say. For this heavy black coat which you returned to her care, as I understood it. That's right, yes. And rather unsurprisingly, as soon as the little ragamuffin put the thing on, she went rifling through the pockets. Oh, you mean... What? Don't you know it's rude to stare at a lady? Ah, I see. So it came from the pocket of the overcoat, did it? If you mean this disc, then yes, exactly, ma'am. And she immediately tried to pawn it. For quite a high price as well. This is all rather suspicious, I think. Give it up. I'm just trying to pawn something like anyone else would. Mr. Lestrade, may I ask you deposited the overcoat here in the first place? Well, me. It doesn't really appear to be your size. Me old man. It's me old man's, ain't it? Is it Miss Lestrade? Yeah, this is definitely all rather suspicious. On my way, please. Whoa. Will E. Zeppeli? From Juju Phantom Blood? It's him, huh? Who's this picture postcard English gentleman? It's fucking Connor wearing his JoJo suit tie. Good day to you, ladies, gentlemen. What's your problem, mate? There is no problem, as long as you remove yourself. I have a matter to discuss with the proprietor. You hate this guy already? He definitely looks like a JoJo villain. Oh.
And if you intend to make a problem of it, I shall see you outside, little girl, for the hiding you deserve. Where's the Welsh accent then? Yeah. Look, ain't obvious. I ain't done talking to him yet. If you think you're such a gent, you should know how to wait in line. Well, you're an impudent little brat, aren't you? As well as a pickpocket. Eh? Who are you? How do you know who I am? The question is, how do you not know who I am? You haven't the courtesy even to remember the faces of your victims, it seems. What? You mean from you? Broker. Yes, sir? I believe this filthy pocket thief has just redeemed an article from you, no? Yes, The article in question belongs to me. I demand for it to be returned at once. Oh my. That's a lie. What are you trying to pull? Give me back my overcoat, you wastrel. And needless to say... He's a definitely fucking JoJo villain. Look at him posing and everything. Any music box discs too. No, you can't have it. You just can't. It's me old man's, or it was. Now it's mine. Goodness, Mr. Naruto. This is a very awkward situation. He's wearing his fucking JoJo outfit. He's fucking JoJo posing. This man's a JoJo villain, huh? What if you were to type in? If I go to type in, let me see, huh? Oh, we don't know his name yet. Fuck, we can't look. Yeah, I think perhaps we should hear both sides of the story in a little more detail. Gina, what's going on here, huh? The gentleman's accusation. Miss Lestrade, is what the gentleman is saying. What do you think? It's all lies, ain't it? Obviously. I swear on my life. I ain't never laid eyes on that dandy before. Let's hear it now, you little ragamuffin. You stole it, didn't you? That ticket you brought in here just now? No, I swear it. I swear to God. It was barely an hour ago. I was walking along the street, minding my own business, when this little gutterling ran into me. I knew at once what had happened. I've been robbed yet again, I thought to myself. Those wretched pickpockets. Yet again? Oh yes, as you can see, I'm a man of impeccable style. This isn't the first time that I've been targeted by these backslum scoundrels. Now then. I was trying to see Will Zappali's pose, but it's like... She was wearing the coat back then already? No? Like we saw her in court? No, I don't think so. Now then, relinquish my overcoat. Gah. Come along now, Mr. Lestrade. Give the good gentleman his coat back. If you're going to cause trouble, I shall have no choice but to call the police. Hold on, why is everyone thinking it's me? Just look at this dandy cove. You think I'm the dodgy one? Yeah, man's got a stand, huh? I'm sorry, but no one's gonna believe you. Well, what about evidence? Yeah. Where's your evidence that I've stolen something, eh? Come on, let's see it. Oh, I have evidence, naturally. You what? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Evidence that the article Mr. Lestrade redeemed actually belongs to this gentleman. Of course. We need only consult Mr. Windibank's ledger to know the truth. We'll be able to look up the name of the person who deposited the article in the first place. Yes, brilliant. I'm very sorry, but I'm afraid that won't be possible. Oh. I never ask customers' names. That's a strict policy of mine. Confidentiality, hey? But why not? Well now, as you can imagine, some of my customers have circumstances to consider. A great many of them prefer to maintain their anonymity. Yes, I see. But then, how can you know if an article belongs to the person asking to redeem it? Oh, it's quite simple. I don't. Good sir. Might I trouble you for the watchword associated with the article in question? Of course. It's... Professor.
Yes, that's right. And all the evidence we need. This gentleman is the rightful owner of the article, without doubt. A watchword? Interesting.
Password in it.
So, about these watchwords, Mr. Winterbank. As I just explained, I never ask customers' names when they deposit items with me. There are many reasons why. Certain customers would like to keep their activities secret. That wasn't exactly a subtle glance at Mr. Sholmes now, was it? All the fucking... Didn't even notice him over there. Great detectives have no dark secrets, not at all. Yes, well, anyway, that's why I always ask for a watchword whenever I accept a new article. In many ways, it's like the secret combination of numbers used to unlock a vault. The deep data deposit and a watchword uniquely identify each item. He's out of frame. I just didn't notice him. Many dark secrets, huh? Fuck. And of course, then I give the storage ticket to the customer. When someone comes to redeem something, I ask for the ticket and the watchword. And if that someone tells you the correct watchword, you return the article? That's right, sir. Yes. Just as soon as the requisite fee is paid. And I have supplied you with the information you require already, but for the avoidance of doubt. The article in question is an overcoat, deposited 2 months ago on 15th of February. With a watchword of Professor. All perfectly correct information, sir. But how? Really, this is beyond a joke now. There is no further room for doubt. Ugh. You're caught, you know how, sorry. What's this guy's name, huh? Excuse me, but who are you? One would expect the inquirer to introduce himself first. Though clearly you are not British, so perhaps our ways are foreign to you. Oh, sorry, yes, we're from the Empire of Japan. We're studying here. Oh yes, Japan. I've heard talk of the place. Its inhabitants live on some fiery brown-coloured soup, dressed up with exotic spices. You might be thinking of somewhere else. What was that theatrical gesticulation about? Perhaps. Anyway, if you are a gentleman, sir, you offer your own name first, before inquiring after the name of another. Of course, yes. I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I'm a lawyer. Well, a student of law, really. Her dad's a thief, too. My name is Susato Mikotaba. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's assistant. I see. My name is Benedict. Eggert Benedict. Enchanté. Sus name. What are you saying, no? No, we had a guy on the ship whose name was Beef Stroganoff. What do you mean? Ace Attorney. What was his name? Egg Benedict? Jojo. Let me see. Everyone's just saying he looks like a Jojo character. Eggert. His name is Sus. Now, I thought I was going to say like Benedict, there's something wrong like Benedict Cumberbatch. No. Eggert. My name is Eggs Benedict time. What's this man say? My overcoat, return it at once. To someone with the style to carry it off. Every move he makes, every breath he takes, I'll be watching him. I can't stand watching him. Oh, he's put it on. What is this game? So let that be an end to the matter. And thank you for your custom, Mr. Eggert Benedict, sir. With such reasonable rates of interest, I may even decide to come back. That's what Gina looked like when we saw her in court. This is why I hate grown-ups. Just because I'm a diver, everyone thinks that makes me a liar. And the contents of the coat pockets, if you please, broker. Well, of course, sir. Here is the desk for you. Just this one? Pardon, sir? I was expecting another. That is, I deposited another. Another disc? Oh dear. I regret to inform you, sir, that what was deposited with me was merely the overcoat. The disc happened to be in one of the pockets, but I was completely unaware of it until now. So, Gutterling, you're hiding more of what's rightfully mine, are you? Says Uwe, I don't know nothing about it. Very well. Then I shall bid you farewell. Say goodbye to style. Wait a minute. That disc is mine. Oh. Ah. What do you think you're doing, you little tramp? You've drawn blood, you filthy animal. Oh my, yes. There's blood on the disc. Because of all those sharp little bumps. The man must have scratched his finger on them. I found it first, alright? I mean, it belongs to me, old man. So you're not having it. Oi, you take it. Me? If I hang on to it, they'll have it off me again. So you keep hold of it. Mr. Strahadite. Why is this so important here? Alright, we got it. You there, in the Black Library. Hand that desk to me at once, please. No, don't. He's lying. Grown-ups are liars. What do I do now? How am I going to resolve this? Where's Herlock? Where's Sholmes? Help me! Mr. Sholmes. What are you examining with such keen interest there? As you enjoy a bar of caramel, I see. Uh-oh. So, you found me at last, Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry. After that young pickpocket sent me on my way, I was forced to lurk in the shadows. Cruelly ostracized as the rest of you partook in the jovial atmosphere of fellowship, I had nothing to occupy my mind. I was too ashamed to let society see what my downfall had done to me. So feigning mock interest, I pretended to examine the tedious trinkets in this desolate place. Whilst, as you shrewdly observed, gnawing on the only friend I have left, this 7% solution of caramel. Pray, do you claim to understand the depths of my despair, Mr. Naruhodo? But how could you? I was so lonely, so desperately lonely. Then, why on earth didn't you rejoin the conversation? Things have gone from bad to worse here, you know. Yes, I overheard much of your conversation. Or rather, in my craving for human contact, my ears devoured every word that was uttered. You really were sad, weren't you? Per Mr. Sholmes, I feel simply awful for you. It would seem that my inferences are correct. Oh, surely you're not about to tell us that you've solved the entire case once again? My dear madam, sometimes I wonder, would my genius for deduction be so commoditized? How much could I pawn it for? I think Mr. Sholmes has had another of his flashes of inspiration. Who knows if it will help to resolve the situation between Miss Lestrade and the mysterious gentleman. What's the right thing to do here? Yeah, of course doesn't it? Well, Miss Lestrade, it would appear you find yourself in something of a predicament. Where the blue blaze have you been, eh? Pardon? When a lady's in trouble, the true gent's supposed to be there to help. Straight away, not an hour later. Harsh. Talking Sherlock collapsing, huh? And who, pray tell, are you? These two just fit perfectly together on screen. Mr. Egbert Benedict. You have, in my eyes, a veritably encyclopedic array of curiosities about your person. Like the fucking Jojo and his villain. Nevertheless, they are two immovable conclusions I have drawn. I beg your pardon. The first is this. The true reason for your visit to this pawnbrokery today is something you have not yet revealed. And the second is this. A considerable crime is in contemplation, one you will orchestrate with intent to steal a vast sum of money. Well, Mr. Benedict, what say you to my deductions? How? He's turned as white as a hard-boiled egg. It would seem that once again, Mr. Sholmes has made a flawless deduction. Just who do you think you are, sir? Ah, yes, as I hoped. That is precisely the pained expression I was looking for. A lot of fan art, huh? So, shall we begin? The time has come for yet another Herlock Sholmes' logic and reasoning spectacular. Here we go. Mobile time. Ugh. Topic 1. Mystery Man's aim. First of all, we must ask ourselves on what business you ventured to this pawnbrokery today. You claim to have followed this pickpocket here, having had the redemption ticket stolen from you on the street. But that is most certainly a lie. The real truth is something quite different. As revealed by that which you hold in your hand. Yes, what brought you to this shop in the first place is the staff recruitment flyer. The piece of paper in your hand is a staff wanted advertisement from this very shop. Yet even the most unobservant would soon realize that a man of your appearance has no need of such employ. In other words, there is something ulterior motive for your actions. The cane which you unwittingly clutched to your person exhibits an incontrovertible contradiction. What utter rot. I've had this cane for years. The contradiction of which I speak of is, of course, the missing ferrule. The end of any walking cane would be terminated with a metal ferrule to protect the wooden tip. Can't fucking talk, huh? And yet, detailed analysis shows the wooden tip of the stick to be utterly bare. Therefore, there's only one conclusion. The rod that you hold in your hand, which appears to be a walking cane, is in fact no cane at all. It also has initials that aren't EB. You recoil, sir. Is something wrong? And in your recoiling, you inadvertently facilitate the answer of the next conundrum to present itself. Namely, what is the truth behind this rod you bear? Yes, your reaction betrays the truth. The handle, which you evidently would like to conceal, is a key to understanding this riddle, you see. Twitch Mobile has a weird new bug? What's that? From the moment I saw it, my suspicions were aroused. What walking cane demands such a stout handle? Mused I. But of course, as I said, this is no walking cane. No, that rod. Oh. It's a broken handle of a shovel. What? Are you insane? And now, having determined this undeniable truth, the conclusion is clear. Your true motive for coming here was to take employment at this establishment in order to excavate the ground beneath these premises. What a calculated crime you've conceived, sir. A wickedly calculated crime. Those little jumps in the audio? Ugh. To tunnel underneath the pawnbrokery? Yep. Topic 2. Great crime. Now, Mr. Benedict, let us continue. For we must expose the details of this elaborate crime you have in the planning. This is utterly absurd. You suggest that I, a gentleman, intend to excavate the ground beneath this pawnbrokery with a broken shovel? What on earth do you propose I could expect to find there? Some long-forgotten treasure, I suppose. For say, for such a fanciful theory, what possible reason would I have to do as you say? Oh, but there is ample reason. As you are only too well aware, Mr. Benedict. Ah, and your furtive glance is more telling than I could have hoped. What? Let us consider what motivate a man to infiltrate a shop such as this and covertly dig beneath its floor. The answer is revealed by the council notice on the counter, at which your eyes were inadvertently drawn. The letter gives us notice of public works to be carried out in the local area. And according to the enclosed plan of the upcoming sewerage works, beneath this shop runs a sewer that adjoins another, one that runs under the bank of the opposite side of the road. This madness has entered the sewers now, has it? By excavating the ground beneath our feet, you would gain access to the waterway that flows in very close proximity to the great vault of the financial institution opposite. What are you? In summary, sir, you devised a master plan to pull off an elaborate bank robbery by dint of the underground tunnels. Master plan? Which brings us at last to the final chapter of this lurid scheme. With what plunder did the thief hope to make off from the underground vault of the bank? Are you quite serious? Having consulted with Scotland Yard some days ago, I happen to know the answer. We'll be on until the end today, I think. Yes! But naturally, the answer is no secret to you, is it, Mr. Benedict? I have no idea what you're talking about. Allow me to present a rather interesting piece of evidence. You see, this picture postcard tells us all we need to know. Ah, the Crystal Tower, yeah. A postcard of the Great Exhibition? I'm afraid you've quite lost me. Currently in the final stages of preparation, the great exhibition will soon be underway, and the government has provided extra funds to complete its centerpiece, the Crystal Tower. Funds that currently sit in the vault on the bank, on the other side of this road. Pardon? Yes, the considerable crime you've been contemplating is the theft of that which sits in the vault of that bank, the special reserve funds for the great exhibition. Of course, that is top secret police information, so keep it under your hat, please. To steal the great exhibition's reserve funds. I don't know what this Herlock Sholmes should say. Thus concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of this pawnbroking puzzle. Well, time to pick this shit apart and find out the real truth. Mr. Sholmes? Well, Mr. Naruhodo, an impressively upbeat deduction for a detective racked with loneliness, would you not agree? Was it true what you said about the bank over the road and what it has in its vault? Indeed, though few know of its existence, it is one of the government's most closely guarded secrets. Gregson told me, in his strictest confidence. But you just announced it to everyone here, rather loudly in fact. Ah. And if it's such a big secret, how would Mr. Benedict have come to find out about it? There can be but one explanation for that. Clearly it is because the man is a criminal. But what if he didn't know anything about the money in the vault? If he is a criminal, as you said, then buying a brand new shovel is sure to be the first thing he does now that you reveal the secret. Oh. Or if he doesn't, maybe Mr. Windibank will. He already has plenty of shovels here after all. Oh my life, I assure you I'm not so unscrupulous. Well, hopefully this has taught you a valuable lesson. Sensitive information must be handled with the utmost of care. One can never be sure that someone privy to secrets won't disclose them. And once the word is out, it's out. Perhaps I'll think twice before confiding in you next time, Mr. Sholmes. An excellent idea, Mr. Naruhodo, an excellent idea. Ha 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 ha. Tell him nothing, huh? Well then, Mr. Naruhodo, you know what to do, I'm sure. Yes, let's listen to that great deduction again, and see if we can massage it into shape. Let's do the real shit now, huh? Very well then, let us start once more from the beginning. Of Herlock Sholmes' magnificent logic and reasoning spectacular. My turn. Here we go. Let's find out what he's really up to. First of all, we must ask ourselves on what business you ventured to this pawnbrokery today. You claim to have followed this pickpocket here, having had the redemption ticket stolen from you on the street. But that is most certainly a lie. The real truth is something quite different. As revealed by that which you hold in your hand. Yes, what brought you to this shop in the first place is the staff recruitment flyer. So by Mr. Sholmes' reasoning, Mr. Benedict came here in order to apply for a job so he could dig down through the floor. Yes, an attempt to tunnel into the sewers to gain access to the money in the vault of the bank across the road. But he wouldn't get very far with a broken shovel, would he? He's probably got something behind the flyer, right? No, I think it's fair to say his motives lie elsewhere. The question is, where? What did bring Mr. Benedict here at this particular point in time? Oh, it's a drawing of Gina, right? And the letter. Oh, look at the scribbled notes on the back of the flyer here. I don't believe it. What is it? Listen to what it says. Name, Gina Lestrade. Height, 5'2". Green cap, scruffy waistcoat, grubby white shirt, blue satchel, ragged. It's a detailed description of Miss Lestrade. Goodness. There's even a sketch of her, hat and all. Although if he showed it to her, she'd fire that smoke grenade launcher in his face for sure. So it's like a wanted poster then, I guess. Is he like a bounty hunter? And look, the details of the shop have been written down here too. Windibank's Pawnbrokery, Baker Street. Redemption detail, deadline 15th of April. Just today's date. Where did Mr. Benedict have all that information scrawled in the back of that piece of paper? Info about Miss Lestrade, huh? She'd probably be flattered by a wanted poster.
Take that!
So he came specifically for stuff about her then. Yes, what brought you to this shop in the first place is the info about Miss Lestrade. Quite so, my dear fellow. it would appear that the writing and sketch on the reverse of the flyer pertain to the pickpocket Miss Lestrade and to Mr. Windibank's pawnbrokery here. Ah. You originally told us that you had merely given chase after Miss Lestrade stole the redemption ticket from you. But that, sir, is the thinly veiled lie. It is the information on the back of the flyer that led you here today, by which I mean here to Windibank's pawnbrokery, and today the redemption deadline of that overcoat. So, you waited outside for the young girl matching the description you have written down to arrive. And you have gone to some lengths to hide the reason for your pursuit of Miss Lestrade. In other words, there is some ulterior motive for your actions. The cane, which you unwittingly clutched to your person, exhibits an incontrovertible contradiction. What utter rot. I've had this cane for years. The contradiction of which I speak of is, of course, the missing ferrule. Yeah, the missing ferrule. They went to bed, about an hour ago. What's a ferrule? It's the metal cap commonly found on the end of a cane, Mr. Naruhodo. Ah, the bit that makes a nice clacking sound on the pavement. Yes, exactly, and Mr. Sholmes is right. It appears to be missing on this cane. But it doesn't actually look broken, does it? No, it doesn't, though the gentleman certainly did recoil when Mr. Sholmes identified the cane as suspicious. In other words, there's some secret about the cane that Mr. Benedict would rather we don't know. It's probably the initialing. It doesn't match his name. The fucking crocodile in the background, Look here, Mr. Sato. There are some letters on the handle. Ah, yes. Those must be initials, I think. In the West, it's customary for people to engrave their belongings with the first letters of their names. So Herlock Sholmes would be HS, you mean? That's right. And the initials on this cane, obviously... Oh. AG? Why does it feel as though that's not quite right?
Take that!
There you go. The contradiction which I speak is, of course, the initialing. A most astute observation, wouldn't you say, Mr. Egbert Benedict? Egbert Benedict? We are to believe, sir, that your initials are EB. Yet in a most possessive manner, you have in your grasp a cane bearing the initials AG. An incontrovertible contradiction indeed, would you not agree? No, you're wrong. This cane isn't... You said before that you'd had that cane for years. Gah. Don't try to tell us that you just borrowed it from a friend or found it in the park. In short, though you hold yourself to be a gentleman, you have withheld your true name. Oh, you recoil, sir. Is something wrong? And in your recoiling, you inadvertently facilitate the answer of our next conundrum to present itself. Namely, what is the truth behind this rod you bear? Yes, your reaction betrays the truth. The handle, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding this riddle, you see. Not the handle, then. Let's consider the bare bones of what's happened here. Miss Lestrade redeemed the fine-looking overcoat. And now a mysterious man has appeared, introducing himself with a fake name, and claiming that the overcoat belongs to him. We know that he actually identified Miss Lestrade from a written description, which suggests that everything else he's told us is untrue. So what we need to do here is somehow prove that the overcoat cannot possibly belong to him. Did he just rip it? It sounded like he went and ripped it. He sounded like he ripped the coat. Right. My prediction now. We're going to spin the coat around and it's going to be split down the spine. Oh well, it's not the spine, but it's the shoulder. That's why he's holding up here. Not the right down the back, but it's still split it. You heard the rip. You heard the rip. Oh, the seam on the shoulder there is coming apart. Look. So it is. Do you know, a moment ago, Mr. Benedict was surprised by something that was said. I thought I heard him make a rather strange noise. It sounded a bit like a tiny growl. But now I think it was probably the sound of this seam ripping open. If you look closely, it does seem to be a very tight fit. The sleeves are stretched to bursting, and he wouldn't have a hope of fastening it at the front. If he were to run around in it, I'm sure the whole thing would fall apart. That I'd like to see. Sorry?
So how can we make Mr. Benedict run around? He's really giving this some thought.
Take that!
There you go. The split seam, which you evidently would like to conceal, is the key to understanding this riddle, you see. Ah! Yes, because the overcoat is rather obviously a poor fit. Having forced it over your broad shoulders, the seam is already breaking apart. My suspicions were aroused from the outset. When you so boldly lied about your name and so boldly waylaid this pickpocket. Ah! This catalogue of untruths has all been for one very specific purpose. To steal the article that the young girl redeemed from Mr. Windibank. Ah! But what really irks me is this. The considerable crime I initially imagined has been considerably curtailed. Did you steal a coat? They came here just to steal the coat then. So he wants what's on the discs? Is that what it is? Now, Mr. Benedict, let us continue. We must expose the details of this elaborate crime you have in the planning. This is utterly absurd. You suggest that I, a gentleman, designed a wheeze to filch some tawdry article of pawnage. Have you forgotten that I redeemed the article in the proper manner, using the watchword? Had I not been the one to deposit it in the first place? How could I possibly have known the relevant details? Ne sais pas. Hello, Gina bro. How's it going? Oh, but the watchword can be discovered. As you are only too well aware, Mr. Benedict. Ah, and your furtive glance is more telling than I could have hoped. What? Let us consider how one might come to learn a secret watchword relating to the pawned property of another. This method is revealed by the council notice on the counter at which your eyes were inadvertently drawn. Now it's the big ledger, right? The direction of the deduction must change rather dramatically now, I think. Yes, no more talk of tunneling into the sewers, which is a pity, because it all sounded rather exciting. Anyway, you can't deny that this mysterious gentleman did know the watchword. Yes, Professor. If you didn't know that word, Mr. Windibank would never allow you to redeem the article. Or, looking at it another way, if you did know that word, Mr. Windibank would allow you to redeem it, whether it was yours or not. So the question is, could this gentleman have found the watchword out somehow? Yeah, it's from the book. Oh, maybe not? You can't interact with the ledger. Okay. What's on this note? Look at this, Mr. Sato. It appears to be a memo that Mr. Windibank has scribbled to himself. Well, this is okay. Let's see. What does it say? Oh, Professor. Oops. Mr. Windibank must make a note of the watchwords his customers give him right before their eyes. And an alarmingly clear script as well. Oh dear. I don't know where to look. Who knows what other secrets I might see. Well, there we go.
Take that!
People who write down the password next to the computer. Yep, exactly that. The method is revealed by the notelet on the counter to which your eyes were inadvertently drawn. Yes, the broker here follows the same procedure whenever a customer comes to redeem an article. He asks the customer for the watchword and notes down the responses uttered on a notelet he has to hand. Then he consults his ledger and confirms whether or not the watchword matches that of the article in question. I would expect nothing less of a diligent pawnbroker. But his diligence clearly has its disadvantages. What are you talking about? It is increasingly apparent that you were present in this shop before your accusation against Mr. Strad. In all likelihood, you followed her inside and then observed her talking to Mr. Windibank. When this diligent broker made a note of the watchword, as is his common practice, you observed him writing the word Professor on the notelet beside the ledger. He was spying, huh? And that, sir, was the master plan you devised to steal the pawned article from the young Mr. Strad. Master plan? Which brings us at last to the final chapter of this lurid scheme. Why would you go to such lengths to redeem that particular article from this pawnbroker?
Are you quite serious? For an ill-fitting overcoat hardly seems to justify the effort, much less a worthless music box disc. But naturally, you had very good reason to make them yours, didn't you, Mr. Benedict? I have no idea what you're talking about. Allow me to present a rather interesting piece of evidence. You see, this picture postcard tells us all we need to know. Nope. The articles we're talking about are the overcoat and the music box disc that was in one of the pockets, which according to Mr. Windibank isn't even worth a penny. And yet this man went to such lengths to steal them. Why? I wonder if perhaps we already have the evidence we need to explain it, Mr. Naruhodo. Could we? Really? I better have a thorough look through all the evidence we've collected so far. There's something on the other side, maybe? Look at all the little bumps on the disc. They're so tiny. Yes, the protrusions are called pins, and they pluck the teeth of the comb. They make notes. Just on the edge, there's a small amount of blood. Yes, the blood of the mysterious Mr. Eggert Benedict. When Mr. Strahd tried to grab the disc from him, the pin scratched his fingers, it seems. Like when you're grating some daikon radish and accidentally catch your finger. Ah! Ow! Just thinking about it hurts. And puts me off eating radish. There it is. Formagilded? The fucking Irish boy who burnt? Oh, there's a little scrap of paper stuck onto the reverse side of the disc. Look. A scribbled word or two. It looks like it's somebody's name. Formagilded. McGilded? It couldn't be. But it is Mr. Naruhodo. A name I shall never forget for as long as I live. But why? Why is his name on this? A metal disc used to play music in a mechanical music box. On the reverse side is a note that reads Formagilded.
Take that!
Is he still... You see, this music box just tells us all we need to know. What's that on the back? It reads Formagilded. Ah! Ah, Mr. Magnus McGilded, the unfortunate philanthropist who perished in curious circumstances at the Old Bailey 2 months ago. A prominent man in London, though his loan-mongering demonstrated a distinct lack of scruples. So, you're an associate of his, are you? Or perhaps a subordinate? Mr. McGilded was a man of unusually small stature. In fact, he was precisely the right size for that overcoat that you've squeezed yourself into. Ah! Your true identity remains shrouded in mystery, Mr. Eggert Benedict. But the final conclusion here is crystal clear. The reason you came to this pawnbrokery today. Was to retrieve an article left behind by the late Magnus McGilded. Ah! Boom. Got him, huh? To acquire an item deposited by Mr. McGilded. Find him out time. It's cool how they're all connecting. Well, well, Mr. Magnus McGilded. Not a name I expected to hear in these circumstances. Mr. Sholmes, I'm afraid there's something very troubling on my mind. Oh no. Pray tell, Mr. Sato. Well, according to what Mr. Windibank told us earlier, today was the final day on which the coat could have been redeemed, was it not? Yes, ma'am, that is correct. Today would be precisely 2 months since it was first deposited. Well, today's 15th of April, so 2 months ago today would have been the 15th of February, sir. That's right. It's all carefully recorded in my ledger. Deposited at 10:30 p.m., I see. What? But that suggests we better than faking the own death time, maybe? Yes, 15th of February. It's precisely the day in which the omnibus murder took place. And 10:30 in the evening is precisely the time in which the terrible events were unfolding. No, oh, so that's not the day of the case, that's the day of the actual event itself, okay. So the trial was like the next day, right? This is the actual, the murder, the events.
Suggest was not the word. It would seem the matter is entirely beyond coincidence. You are, of course, at liberty to make whatever outlandish deductions you choose. However... Oh, fucking hell. I must insist you hand over the music box disc now. Jesus. It would be a terrible shame for you to return to your native land in a box. Ah, what'd I do? There's some things a man must protect at all costs. This may well be one of those things. Then again, it may not. Mr. Windibank. Is it my shop? I can't allow any harm to come to my customers. If that were to happen, I should have to take my own life. Mr. Windibank, no. Alright, that's enough. Ah, yes. Inspector Gregson. Inspector.
That's right, Sunshine. The alarm was raised on one of our dedicated emergency lines. We got here as fast as we could. No, what's all this about, eh?
Oh, praise be, you're here at last. I was moments away from forfeiting my own life in my own establishment. It would seem you have the upper hand. Take him away, boys. Fucking get him out of time.
Right, you lot have got some explaining to do. I don't appreciate being bothered with some petty argy-bargy.
Petty? Mr. Windibank very nearly met with his end.
Yeah, by his own gun as far as I can tell.
Oh dear.
And the whole of Britain could meet with its end if I don't get to the bottom of the case I'm supposed to be working on.
What on earth is the case, Inspector? Better detail, Gregson. The pocket chips again? Yeah.
I might have said a little too much. No matter. It's nothing to do with you lot. Anyway, sir, you're gonna have to come with me down to the station.
But of course, Inspector.
Oh! He's getting away! Get after him, lads! Whistle the beat officer too. Sir!
He's fucking gonzo.
There have been a spate of thefts at pawn shops around here recently. We fitted emergency buttons underneath the counter for brokers to let us know when there's trouble.
Oh, Inspector, I was very worried there for a while. Very worried indeed.
Now then, Mr. Permanently in Mourning.
Oh, yes.
Are we taking that whatever it is of McGilda's down to the yard? Thank you very much. So hand it over.
Oh, yeah, yes, of course. No, don't give it to him. It's mine, that is. Mine.
I'm sorry, miss. But anything belonging to McGilda has to be taken in as evidence now.
As evidence? If the police demand something as evidence, my dear fellow, we have no choice but to capitulate. It's all yours, Inspector.
Ugh.
Sorry, Gina. And so, we handed Mr. McGilda's desk over to Inspector Gregson. And we're summarily turfed out of the shop and onto the streets. Fucking get out time. Perfect time, time. You might just like fucking fire us into the next bit immediately, so we'll just like we'll get to where it is and we'll quit out. We'll quit out now. Options. There we go. That'll be us for today, folks. That will be us for today. Thank you very much for watching. That was good fun. So we completed Adventure 4 and we are well on our way through Adventure 5. We've still got presumably quite a little bit left, so we'll be at this for a little bit. It was good fun. It was really enjoyable. But we'll be at this for a little bit, so yeah. We go again tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm back at work after being off for a bit, so if the energy's a little dire tomorrow, I apologize, but we'll not let it affect us too much. So thanks very much, and have a good end to your night. Have a good Tuesday, and I'll see you tomorrow. Good night.